Hey guys, it's time for part 13 of The Crown Prince that sells medicine. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. Daily uploads continue. From the same author behind the world's greatest estate developer, set long after Lloyd's era. Let's jump in. Smoke and dust billowed, obscuring the view. Through the haze, the silhouette of an army emerged. The swirling dust choked the air, hiding everything. Then, a pristine landscape of mountains and forests under a beautiful sky began to appear as the dust gradually thinned and dispersed. The army advanced powerfully, their momentum surging. They set up camp on a level expanse of land. Garden, Rapiel's giant porcupine mount, charged forward almost as if flying upon seeing something. Rapiel dismounted and spoke to Damien. Sir Garden is always so eager, isn't he? Damien chuckled. The porcupine, seemingly excited, twitched its quills in response to its master. Garden, thrilled to see Rapiel, bowed his head in greeting. You've arrived, Rapiel said calmly. What's the situation at the camp? How are the wounded? The knight, curious about the small creature beside Rapiel, replied, Yes, they are resting. But, seeing his questioning look, Rapiel offered an explanation. This little one? This is Cucu, the larva of the Vesperous Queen. Rapiel addressed Cucu. Say hello. This is Sir Garden. Cucu, understanding, made a greeting sound. Garden, slightly flustered, stammered. Why, your grace? You mean the larva of the queen? Rapiel spoke it to Cucu. Cucu, where here? This is the medical camp I told you about. Cucu responded with its usual chirping sound. Garen Wood, another knight, stared in astonishment. The Vesperous Queen. Rapiel stepped forward and gave an order. From now on, you will assist me in preventing infection and treating the wounded. Damien, acknowledging the command, replied, Yes, your grace. Garen, still confused, asked, Your grace, what do you mean? Rapiel looked at his friend, Damien. Those quills are heavy, aren't they? Give it to me. The porcupine squealed in protest. Garen, horrified, exclaimed, That enormous wasp. Rapiel finished, a satisfied smile playing on his lips. He gestured towards the massive wasp strapped to a cart. The Vesperous Queen. Garden was aghast. But where did you get that? Rapiel replied with amusement. I picked it up on the way. Garden, staring at the wasp, was utterly bewildered. What are you going to do with it? Rapiel placed a hand on his chin, answering with a playful tone. Make wasp wine. Garden's bewilderment deepened. Wine. Rapiel's answer hung in the air, creating a bizarrely comical atmosphere. The scene shifted to Rapiel's tent within the camp. He looked at the Vesperous larva and said, how to explain this? Cucu looked back at him. Rapiel, in a tone both explanatory and instructive, continued, Once a month, you need to regurgitate that thing from your stomach. He paused, thinking, that thing Cucu throws up when mixed with the ointment called purple cloud salve, which is used to treat burns and restore skin. Creates an incredibly potent antibiotic ointment, especially effective for external injuries. He went on, We'll use it to treat the wounded out there. Cucu responded in its own language. Rapiel listened and interpreted. It says it will cooperate, but this is its first time vomiting, so it doesn't know how. Rapiel looked at it, slightly dubious. Cucu, sensing Rapiel's doubt, whimpered sadly. Rapiel was deep in thought. I didn't expect it wouldn't know how to be sick. I thought it would cooperate, but we've hit a snag. Is there a way to make it throw up? Suddenly, an idea struck him, and his face brightened. Acupoint stimulation. Cucu looked startled. Rapiel looked at Cucu, preparing to use his skill. Hold still, Cucu. It stared back at him. A notification appeared. Auxiliary Function 1. Acupoint stimulation. Rapiel's eyes fixed on Cucu. A notification appeared. Acupoint scanning function has detected a lockable target. Now, all of Cucu's acupoints were highlighted within his vision. The notification flashed. Target lock successful. After successfully locking onto the target, Rapiel picked up a needle and spoke. Cucu, would you like to try acupuncture? After the acupuncture, you'll be able to vomit. The larva stared at the needle in Rapiel's hand, fear evident in its large eyes. Kuga. A shriek of terror echoed from within Rapiel's tent. His hand, holding the needle, pierced Cucu's acupoint, the equivalent of the human body's Wigwam point, applying the principles of the emetic acupuncture technique. To induce vomiting, Rapiel focused intently. I will apply strong stimulation to the primary acupoint and gentle stimulation to the opposing point. Meanwhile, Cucu trembled in his hand, its face pale with fear. Cap. Rapiel continued to apply the needles. If I stimulate the vomiting center correctly, another horrified scream ripped through the tent. Cu vomited a shimmering green gem and promptly fainted. Lachiel, however, seemed more intrigued by the event than concerned. I expected a liquid, but it turned out to be a gem, he mused. How interesting. He leaned closer to the gem. It even has a chocolate mint scent. Just then, Garenwood entered the tent. Master, he announced, the ingredients Princess Arlene's sent have arrived. He paused, taking in the scene of Cu slumped on the table, a look of surprise on his face. Lachiel inhaled the aroma emanating from the gem. Fascinating. He stood, Cu draped over his left shoulder, the gem held aloft in his right hand. Now, let's begin. Garenwood bowed. Yes, master. Lachiel and Garenwood emerged from the tent and joined Damien, who had already started a fire beneath a cauldron. Garenwood, the solution, Lachiel commanded. Yes, master, Garenwood replied, handing him a vial. Lachiel took the vial and declared, just add the ingredients Arlene sent and Cu's gem, and it's complete. He poured the solution into the simmering cauldron. Light and a fragrant aroma immediately began to emanate from within. Damien, now's the time. Damien, upon hearing the command, rushed forward and lifted the cauldron from the fire, placing it to the side. The other two stepped back to observe as Lachiel, with a surge of energy, approached the cauldron. Even unconscious, Cu seemed to share Lachiel's excitement. With powerful strokes, Lachiel began to vigorously stir the concoction. Garenwood and Damien watched him intently. Master, Garenwood offered, allow me. Lachiel, still stirring with all his might, replied, no, I must do this myself. A worried frown creased his brow. This time I cannot fail. Cu only produces this gem once a month. If I fail, we'll have to wait a whole month. The image of the ravaged battlefield, littered with casualties, flashed through his mind. In that time, he thought, the wounded will die from infections. As Lachiel stirred, Damien and Garenwood exchanged a look. I'll take the first watch tonight, Damien murmured. Suddenly, Lachiel cried out in triumph. Success! The clear blue sky above seemed to echo his joy. Lachiel's encouraging voice, a memory from the past, rang in his ears. Keep going, along with Cu's faint chirps. It's done. Curious soldiers peeked from behind their cover, drawn by the commotion. Lachiel, her hands trembling, cupped Lachiel's face, her voice filled with relief. We did it. Lachiel, his hands still shaking from exertion, addressed Lachiel. Have you named this ointment yet? Of course I have, she replied. Do you want to know? Lachiel, beaming with pride, raised a jar of shimmering green ointment high. Since I created it, he declared, I shall call it Leg Cason. He basked in the glow of his accomplishment. He raised it proudly, the newly crafted ointment gleaming in the firelight. The surrounding soldiers watched with open curiosity. Garenwood clapped enthusiastically, while Damien simply stared, speechless. Notifications blinked into existence before Lachiel's eyes. You have successfully concocted Leg Cason, the first antibiotic in the history of the Lorasser continent. Leg Cason will be the first shot, heralding the widespread adoption of a completely new antibiotic treatment method. Furthermore, you will be recorded in medical textbooks as the father of antibiotic treatment. His internal organs, a cacophony of voices in his mind, simultaneously rejoiced at his accomplishment and grumbled about his reckless methods. Be more careful next time, they chided, even as they grudgingly congratulated him and awarded him 800 HP, current HP 7,300. Lachiel's face, pale with exhaustion, was beaded with sweat. He gasped for breath. A voice shouted, Medic! Wake up, medic! Soldiers stood in neat rows outside his tent, their faces etched with weariness and pain. Many bore bandages, stained crimson. Soldiers emerged from the tent, their faces alight with relief and satisfaction. Those entering wore expressions of grim determination. Lachiel, a proud smile playing on his lips, held Cu, the queen larva, securely on his shoulder. His gloved hands, coated in a strange blue liquid, moved with practiced efficiency. Time for your medicine, he announced. Hold still now. The blue liquid arced through the air, landing precisely on the wounds of the injured soldiers. With remarkable speed, Lachiel treated each man in turn, the blue luminescence briefly illuminating their tired faces. Gasps of astonishment rippled through the ranks. The pain is gone, one soldier exclaimed. My festering wound, it feels like it's closing. A chorus of voices erupted. Long live the medic! Long live the medic! Lachiel thought to himself, long live Leg Cason. Cheer louder, my bonus lifespan points. The cheers continued, evolving into a strange chant. Long live the adorable Goku. He truly is a miracle medic. 10 days later, the scene shifted to the imposing fortress of Aloha. Inside a dimly lit room, voices murmured in hushed tones. Reporting on the current state of the war, a man began, pointing a wooden stick at a white horse figurine on a large map. Currently, aside from minor skirmishes in the northeast region, there are no major conflicts. Of course, this is because the rebel army's main force is converging on Fort Valoa. It seems they have no intention of avoiding a decisive battle with us, Maruv observed. The general, a grim expression settling on his face, replied, "Indeed." He seethed inwardly. "I kept you by my side, despite the objections of my ministers, all because of your ambition. And this is how you repay my favor, you traitorous cur, Jayabilong." He forced a neutral tone. "Are there any other reports?" The general, stroking his chin thoughtfully, replied, "Recently, there's been a medical camp achieving strangely outstanding results. Over the past 2 months, the survival rate of the wounded there has exceeded 70%. "What?" the general's superior exclaimed, his voice laced with disbelief. 70%? The general continued, "Indeed. Rumors about this medical camp are spreading rapidly among the soldiers of various units within the Royal Army." He paused, his own surprise evident. "No matter how severe their injuries on the battlefield, as long as they reach the medical camp of the 21st Company, they will be saved. This belief is becoming widespread, and the soldiers have even given the place a nickname." Intrigued, the older man asked, "What nickname?" The general replied, "The soldiers call the 21st Company." At those words, the white-haired man's eyes widened in shock. Elsewhere, someone gripped a suitcase tightly, their knuckles white. A group, led by a man named Chanra, voiced their skepticism. "This is a recovery camp? Who are they trying to fool?" Someone grumbled. Another replied, "I hear it's called that because of some fat army medic. They call him the miracle medic." Chanra, watching the contented faces of the recovering soldiers, ground his teeth. Miracle medic? Ridiculous. It's nothing more than a cult following. His followers are just sycophants. There's no medic better than me. Chanra, he fumed. I don't understand why His Highness sent us here to learn from him. Chanra's resolve hardened. I'll expose his charade. Inside a tent within the camp, Rapiel snored loudly in his sleep, muttering, "My bonus lifespan points." His rumbling snores kept the patients in the tent awake. "He's so loud, I can't sleep," one complained. Garenwood opened the tent flap and stepped inside. He flinched at the onslaught of Rapiel's thunderous snoring. He quickly composed himself, a look of sympathy crossing his face. He must be exhausted after healing patients all night. Garenwood approached Rapiel and gently shook him awake. "Master Rapiel," he whispered. Rapiel stirred, mumbling, "Sir Garenwood? What is it?" "The king is very pleased with our camp's success," Garenwood reported. "He sent the army medics from the 5th Company here to learn from you." At this, Rapiel's eyes snapped open. He looked around wildly. "Wait, so they aren't new recruits? Excellent. I'm short-handed. Where are they?" "They're just outside the tent," Garenwood replied. Rapiel shot out of the tent like a bolt of lightning. Spotting the group he was looking for, his face lit up. "It's a pleasure to meet you all. I'm Army Medic Li Han." Chanra and his entourage stopped abruptly, taken aback by Rapiel's enthusiastic greeting. Rapiel, suddenly self-conscious, blushed slightly. He scratched his head sheepishly. "Apologies, I got a bit excited. I heard you were sent here to help." He beamed. "May I ask your names?" Chanra replied stiffly, "Army Medic Chanra." Without missing a beat, Rapiel brushed past Chanra. "You must be tired after your long journey, but we need to assess the wounded first, so please follow me." He strode off, leaving the group standing motionless in his wake. Rapiel stopped and turned back, puzzled. "Why are you all just standing there?" Chanra spoke up. "Army Medic Li Han, perhaps we should be shown to our quarters first." Rapiel's temper flared. "There are dying soldiers lying all around us, and you want to rest?" He and Chanra locked eyes. "We came here on the king's orders," Chanra said, his voice tight. "We have a crucial mission. We've marched nonstop for 6 days, and the moment we arrive, you deny us rest. This is outrageous." Rapiel asked, "And your name was?" Chanra scowled. "I told you it's Chanra. Army Medic Chanra." Rapiel repeated. "So you're saying I'm being inconsiderate by asking you to work before you rest?" Chanra smirked. "Precisely." Rapiel's anger simmered. "I may be Li Han to you," he thought, his fists clenching, "but I'm also Rapiel, and I'm a doctor. Do the wounded get to rest? You question, You question how you all can so easily demand rest. Rapiel seethed, his gaze fixed on Chanra, whose arrogance bloomed amidst the suffering soldiers. Are there any nobles among them? Chanra asked, a note of disbelief coloring his tone. He continued, almost as if speaking to himself, there probably aren't many noble officers here. Probably not many noble officers at all. Don't you separate the nobles? His face darkened. What do you mean? Chanra remained smug as Rapiel clenched his fists, barely containing his fury. You haven't? How disappointing. You can't even perform the most basic of duties. Chanra gestured dismissively. The wounded are divided into two categories, nobles and commoners. We must save the nobles. That's how we receive handsome rewards and renown. Unable to bear the man's ignorant arrogance any longer, Rapiel lashed out. His fist connected squarely with Chanra's face, sending him sprawling. Shut up, Rapiel roared. Chanra's entourage erupted in protest. What the hell do you think you're doing, hitting him? He's an army medic. A suitcase flew open, its contents scattering across the ground. Rapiel's voice cut through the commotion. Ever since I was in Korea, I've lived by one principle. Violence is wrong, he bellowed, his hand raised. But with people like you, only a beating will make you understand. A voice interrupted Rapiel's tirade. How dare you attack without a word? This is outrageous. One of Chanra's companions stepped forward threateningly. Apologize to him right now. If you don't, I'll report this to our superiors. Garen Wood emerged from the tent with another soldier, both stunned by the scene. Report to your superiors? Rapiel echoed. On what grounds? For your violent behavior, of course, came the indignant reply. Violence, Rapiel countered. What about your insubordination? The man looked confused. Insubordination? Rapiel's voice was unwavering. You were ordered here by the king to learn, but instead of following my instructions, you're spouting nonsense. He crossed his arms, his confidence unshaken. Isn't that insubordination? The man fell silent, a flicker of understanding in his eyes. Unconscious, Chanra was carried to a bed inside the tent. His entourage fussed over him. He lay on the wooden cot, his face bruised and swollen. He groaned and opened his eyes. Sitting up and rubbing his head, he mumbled, Where am I? What happened? You fainted after being hit, sir, came the reply. We brought you to the tent to rest. Rage coursed through Chanra. He dared to look down on us. Unforgivable. I can't stand the thought of that freak making me, the best army medic, look second-rate. His attendant spoke hesitantly. While you were unconscious, sir, I heard some things about Li Han from the soldiers here. They say he saved many without amputations. No amputations? Chanra scoffed. And a 70% survival rate. It seems to be because of some ointment he applies, the attendant continued. It's called Lachiel, I think. And he added, lowering his voice, they say he sticks needles all over them, or sings strange songs while operating, without causing any pain. A cruel smile spread across Chanra's face. He stood up, a thought taking root. Of course, he chuckled darkly. It's heresy. Everyone stared at him in bewilderment. He dared to strike someone on their first meeting. His entourage chuckled, seemingly pleased. Everyone's been fooled, not just the soldiers here, but even His Majesty. Chanra grabbed his medical bag, intending to leave. His face bruised, he lifted the bag with one hand and gestured with the other. I'll expose this filthy charlatan. One of his entourage asked, Where are you going, sir? Under the cloak of the quiet night, Chanra observed the tents. He slipped silently into one. That heretic must be asleep by now. Looking at the patient on the bed, he thought, as I suspected, he hasn't even performed the basic post-operative care. Chanra's face darkened as he stared at the soldier. He's definitely a heretic. He picked up a scalpel, a sinister smile spreading across his face. I was taught that when wounded or ill, the body produces a great deal of bad blood. Chanra took the patient's hand, preparing to use the scalpel. Simply removing this bad blood will allow for a swift recovery. The soldier stirred and opened his eyes. Seeing the figure before him, he cried out in alarm. What the? Who are you? Chanra replied, I'm the new army medic. Don't disturb me. I'm treating you. The soldier stammered anxiously. I was operated on by Army Medic Li Han earlier today, and he told me to rest. Chanra looked at the soldier with disdain. You, a mere soldier, dare question my methods? The soldier trembled. And no, sir, he thought to himself, this man is completely different from the kind Army Medic Li Han. Chanra's scalpel descended. Consider yourself honored. Ordinarily, you'd never have the opportunity to be treated by me. Blood flowed from the soldier's hand into a bucket. Chanra smirked. Don't compare me to that heretic. I'm the best army medic in this recovery camp. His expression turned menacing. The air grew thick with a strange miasma as the patient's hand trembled. The soldier's vision blurred in the blood-tinged air. He choked out, medic, I feel dizzy. Chanra, like a man possessed, continued, I'm drawing out all the bad blood to allow the good blood to circulate. You'll recover quickly. The soldier grew faint. Medic, I really... He trailed off. Chanra snapped, hey, wake up. Rapiel woke up groggily. He yawned. That was a strange dream. I can't get back to sleep now. He swung his legs out of bed. Maybe I'll go out and look at the night sky. The night was still and quiet. As he walked, Rapiel fumed. Those medics are even worse than I thought. He glanced at his fist. Don't think about those useless idiots anymore. Just let them finish their assignments, then send them packing. I just need to keep accumulating more lifespan rewards, and everything will be fine. Rapiel opened his system interface and smiled with satisfaction. Wow, this is the first time I've accumulated over 200 days of expected lifespan. At this rate, I should be able to get over a year's worth. What a relief. He skipped along, humming cheerfully. The pressure of a short life is finally easing. I can live a little less worried now. Rapiel's cheerful mood was interrupted by a shout from one of the tents. Hey, wake up. He turned towards the sound, thinking that's the single patient tent area, isn't it? Inside the tent, Chanra, holding a blood-covered scalpel, yelled, open your eyes. Rapiel threw open the tent flap and stared at the scene within. What the? His eyes snapped to the knife. Could that be... Was that how Rapiel, the so-called miracle medic, saw bloodletting? He glanced at the pool of blood on the ground. That was his method of healing? Chanra's face twisted in disgust. The bastard was using acupuncture needles. A noise made him turn. He lunged forward, shoving the other medic away. Get off, he snarled, glaring at the man, who yelled back. What in the hell are you doing? What are you doing with my lifespan rewards? Rapiel roared at Chanra. The commotion had drawn a crowd of soldiers. What the? One of them exclaimed. I heard yelling, so I came to check it out. And nothing. Chanra stammered. I was just treating him. That's what you call treatment. Chanra spat, enraged. It's none of your business, the other medic retorted. Just then, one of Chanra's entourage arrived. Lieutenant Chanra. The aide questioned, helping Chanra to his feet. What's going on here? Ignoring him, Rapiel rushed to the wounded soldier. Frank, are you all right? The soldier groaned weakly. Lieutenant, Li Han. Rapiel assessed the wound. Severed vein. We need to stop the bleeding. Now. He quickly reached into his medical bag and pulled out a clean white cloth. He used the cloth to staunch the soldier's bleeding. Looking at the soldier's pale face, he cursed under his breath. Damn it. Rapiel stared at the soldier's blood-soaked arm, fury simmering within him. To think he'd witness such barbaric medical practices here, draining the bad blood from the body and believing it would heal itself. Chanra approached, his arrogance radiating off him. Clearly, the treatment was progressing smoothly. Why interfere? Rapiel rubbed his temples. To disregard a perfectly good treatment and resort to violence to suppress a rival. He couldn't stand it. Shut up, he snapped, his voice dangerously low. This isn't treatment. This is attempted murder. He turned and gestured to the onlookers. Look at him. Does he look like he's recovering? He's dying. He's bleeding out because of you. Rapiel's scathing words hung in the air, the other medics looking down in shame. And you call this healing? His voice dripped with disgust. Even if you call it treatment, you must feel it too. Something is fundamentally wrong. Why won't you admit it? Are you afraid of tarnishing your precious reputation? Chanra, stung by the accusation, started to retort, Hey now, get out. Rapiel snarled, cutting him off. Before I kill you. Chanra fell silent. The wounded soldier groaned weakly. Lieutenant, I can't anymore. Rapiel looked back at him. What is it? His face a mask of panic. Rapiel shouted, Frank, wake up. Damien, Garen Wood. The commotion drew Garen Wood and Damien to the tent. They rushed inside, Garen Wood calling out, Young master, what's wrong? What's happened? Rapiel, frantic, urged, Quickly, get over here. Rapiel barked orders. Damien raised Frank's legs. We need to maximize blood flow to his vital organs and brain. Damien responded, Yes, sir. Understood. Rapiel turned to Garen Wood. Garen Wood, the vein's been severed. Suture it immediately. Garen Wood, equally swift, replied, Right away, sir. Right away. The three worked feverishly as a notification flashed, commencing circulatory analysis. Rapiel's eyes flicked to the scanning device. A crimson warning illuminated the display, compiling expert analysis. Patient is experiencing critical blood loss. Approximately 30% blood volume depleted. Due to reduced oxygen supply to the brain, patient has lost consciousness. More red alerts flashed across the screen. Blood pressure dropping to critical levels. Patient experiencing peripheral circulatory shock. Symptoms include coldness in extremities and reduced peripheral blood flow. Lachiel gritted his teeth, staring at the dire messages. Damn it, this is bad. He needs a transfusion, but there are no 4 needles, no direct blood transfer lines. Nothing I need here. Lachiel grabbed a scalpel. Is this the only way? A thin line of blood welled up on his hand. Garenwood gasped, staring in horrified disbelief as Lachiel sliced his own hand. Oh my. Lachiel snapped. Suture it, quickly. Yes, sir. Garenwood obeyed, his hands trembling. Lachiel pressed his bleeding hand to Frank's lips. System notifications began to appear. Your internal organs are expressing extreme concern regarding this reckless behavior. More messages followed. Are you insane? This man has finally lost it. Is he trying to give the soldier a blood transfusion by mouth? Does he think that even works? These days, we transfer data via Wi-Fi. Blood transfusions, too. Lachiel thought, shut up, I need to concentrate. The system continued its barrage. Your internal organs are exploding with 1 million question marks regarding your actions. Concern for your mental well-being. They're awarding you 100 HP as encouragement. Current HP, 7,400. Lachiel focused. Activate the magic circle in the system slot. He studied the display. Activate the storage function of the magic circle slot. Current status, empty, ready for storage. Absorbing substance, human blood. H+ detected. Material detected for storage activation within the magic circle. Is Y/N? Lachiel thought. The answer is obviously yes. The system responded, storing material in slot 1. Microcircuit display activated. System notification, slot 1, human blood, H+ 0.06 L/10L. He spoke to Damien. Damien, it's done. Step aside. Lachiel thought, if I transfer the blood using mana. He touched a point on the soldier's foot. The Yongquan acupoint, considered the second heart of the body, is the perfect choice. Lachiel counted silently. Slowly now. Begin. With 0.01 L, the system displayed the soldier's heart rate and blood volume. A red glow emanated from the point of contact. Lachiel channeled his power through the acupoint. It's working. He continued the process. Keep the transfusion going. Don't let it be interrupted. The soldier's fingers twitched. A new notification appeared. The patient, recipient of your emergency blood transfusion, has overcome critical hemorrhagic shock. Relief washed over Lachiel. It worked. It actually worked. More messages filled the display. You have performed an act of profound selflessness, sacrificing your own blood to save another's life. Moreover, many have witnessed someone on death's door revived by your healing. The surrounding soldiers are overjoyed. A medic lieutenant is truly a medic lieutenant. A notice is posted. For those unaware of Astromine law and the circle's squat magic circle, your actions will be seen as a divine miracle. Chandra's attendants are astonished. Impossible. How can this be? Lachiel breathes a sigh of relief. Finally, I did it. The onlookers murmur in amazement. Are the rumors true? Has a miracle truly occurred? Garenwood exclaims, Young master, you're amazing. Lachiel's vision blurs. I can't hold on any longer. I've overexerted myself again. This weak body. Noise erupts around him, and Chandra's close attendant rushes out of the tent. Young master, are you all right? Medic lieutenant, please, take me as your disciple. Medic lieutenant, you've fainted. The attendant smiles slyly. Just by touching him, he saved the patient. Truly a miracle. He looks up at the starlit sky. A raven lands on his outstretched hand. Feathers drift down. I will relay this information in full. In a room somewhere, a voice speaks. A miracle has occurred. In a recovery camp for wounded soldiers of the kingdom's army. A soldier bows low. According to the information delivered by Carrier Raven, a medic saved a dying soldier just by touching him. Chandra, the voice questions, touching the soldier without using any tools. The soldier remains bowed. Yes, master. Chandra saved the dying soldier with bare hands. The one called Master scoffs. Isn't this an exaggeration? The soldier replies, my spies within the kingdom's army witnessed it with their own eyes. The master, seemingly sketching something, muses, someone who can save the dying with a mere touch. Surely, such a person deserves to be called a saint, a worker of miracles. He continues, startling the soldier with his words. A monarch supported by a saint. If such a person were under my command, it would be a great boon to the rebellion. He sets down his drawing tool. He studies his work. That saint, His expression is unreadable. I desire them, no matter the cost. Inside the tent, a conversation unfolds. One commands, whatever the price, it must be done. The other replies, yes, my lord. The soldier departs, leaving the master alone with his thoughts. Hard to believe a saint exists who can heal with a touch. He ponders. Rumors are often exaggerated. After all, he picks up his brush and resumes painting. The most important thing is the respect and admiration people have for this saint. He continues to paint and think. Having such a person by my side could sway public opinion. Then this war could certainly be turned around. We will seize victory. His brushstrokes become more rapid. The moment they faced a little discord with the Magano Empire, they bowed their heads in submission. They even offered their own royalty as hostages. He seethes with anger. What a disgrace to the kingdom and its people. That weak, Merovingian bloodline. It cannot be allowed to exist any longer and weaken Manhwa. He stares at something, his face a mask of menace, his golden eyes sharp. I will drag him down from his throne. Inside a tent, a voice rang out. You promised the best possible treatment if I joined the rebellion. A reply followed. Indeed. Lachiel, skeptical, questioned, are you sure you're in your right mind? The response came, this is a formal offer. Lachiel surveyed the scene, thinking, how audacious. A rebel spy, right here. A medic, no less. The spy continued, swear allegiance to my lord, and untold honor and glory will be yours. Lachiel challenged, Lord Jiabi Long? This is so blatant. What do you think will happen if I shout that there's a rebel spy here? The spy, brimming with confidence, retorted, it matters little. I'm not the only one. Even if I'm executed, another will take my place and make the same offer. Lachiel rubbed his forehead, pondering, why does Jiabi Long want me? He recalled recent events. Could it be because of the rumors? The ones about me healing with a single touch? Lachiel focused his thoughts. Actually, this isn't a terrible offer. Things are stable here. My lifespan accumulation is slowing down. Lachiel pulled an abacus from his pocket and placed it on the table. The spy, noticing the device, broke out in a cold sweat. An abacus? What's that doing here? Lachiel's eyes gleamed. Let's do some calculations, shall we? Lachiel's fingers danced across the abacus, the beads clicking rhythmically. I've already gained everything I need from the royal army. His mind raced, calculating. Bonus skills, lifespan rewards, HP boosts, the healing hand skill. Maybe I could stay with the rebels for a month, rake in the lifespan rewards, and then slip back to the capital. His fingers flew across the abacus with blinding speed. With the added lifespan, once I'm back at the palace, I just cancel the disguise and no one will remember the miracle medic. Lachiel carefully considered his options. Joining the rebels, double lifespan rewards, skill point from healing, enough points to unlock a new skill. A sly grin spread across his face. I'm getting smarter by the day. He responded, I'll do it. The spy, startled, exclaimed, what? I thought you'd hesitate. Lachiel pushed himself up from the table. So, if I joined the rebellion? He fixed the spy with a chilling stare. What guarantees can you offer? The spy stammered, well, about that. Lachiel circled behind the spy as he waited for an answer. The spy thought, I wasn't actually prepared for this. Lachiel, his face menacing, paced back and forth. Didn't you just promise me the best possible treatment? He leaned in close, his face inches from the spy's. Do you even know how to negotiate? The spy was speechless. Lachiel continued, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Oh dear. No preparations at all. You're terrible at this. If you want to make a deal, don't come empty-handed. At least bring a box of potions or some VX, 5,000 or something. All right, Lachiel, let him go. Go on, get back to your commander and bring back some clear terms. Specific ones. The spy still seemed bewildered. Yes, I understand. Lachiel raised a hand threateningly, silencing the flustered man. And don't dawdle. This whole thing is stressing me out, you know? Betrayal isn't easy, understand? The spy scurried out, and Lachiel continued his menacing tone, though to no one in particular. Right? All right. The absent spy couldn't very well argue. Yes, of course, right. Lachiel cheered, putting his feet up on the table and waving a dismissive hand. Good. Now off you go then, quickly. The spy stumbled out of the tent, relief washing over him. Once a safe distance away, he glanced back, a troubled thought creasing his brow. A saint, truly, or just a madman? That night, Lachiel summoned Damien and Garenwood. Damien, Garenwood, I have something to tell you. He sat down heavily at the table, the gravity of his words rendering his companion speechless. I'm thinking of joining the rebellion. Garen Wood, aghast, reached out as if to check his temperature. Are you feverish, sir? Damien, equally stunned, echoed the sentiment. Have you completely lost your mind? Rapiel remained calm, his gaze steady. No, I'm serious. Their spy has been visiting every day. He went on to describe the lavish promises made by the rebels. They're offering land, a house, and a lot of money. Damien found his voice. If you're serious, then I must object. Rapiel raised an eyebrow, prompting him to explain. Morally, it's wrong. You came here to help Manhwa, to care for the kingdom's wounded soldiers with dedication and good faith. He continued, his voice rising. And now you're considering joining the rebellion? How is that even remotely justifiable? Rapiel listened, a flicker of something like contemplation in his eyes. Damien, agitated, stood up abruptly. Truly, why are you like this? Rapiel met his gaze, his expression resolute. Aren't the rebel soldiers also citizens of Manhwa? As the crown prince of Magado, I have no obligation to be loyal to the Yongwan army. The rebels, the royal army. To me, they're both just foreign powers. Damien thought for a moment. That's perversely logical. He had to admit it made a certain kind of sense. Rapiel, scribbling something on a piece of paper, continued, his tone persuasive. It's been quiet in our recovery camp lately, hasn't it? Hardly any new wounded coming in, right? Both sides are just probing each other, facing off at Fort Valoa. That's why. Our camp is past the critical phase and into a stable period. My work with the Yongwan army is almost complete. Now, I just need to go over to the other side, treat their neglected wounded, and then return to Magado. Rapiel looked at Damien, a slightly unsettling glint in his eyes. So let's go. I understand. Damien sighed, resigned. If the boss says so, what can a mercenary do? Damien looked at him with a mixture of apprehension and exasperation. Rapiel, meanwhile, beamed, rolling up the paper. Good. You've seen the light. Garen Wood, tears welling in his eyes, cried out, Your Highness, I'm so moved. A fervent spark ignited within him, and he began scribbling furiously in his notebook. Those who need healing are not allies or enemies, but simply patients. Note that. Rapiel handed the scroll to Garen Wood. Garen Wood, deliver this to the princess for me. Garen Wood's eyes widened, his mind leaping to romantic conclusions. Could it be a love letter? You're angry? Hitting me? What do you mean, love letter? Rapiel snatched the letter back and unfolded it. I have to inform the princess that I'm returning to Magano. I can't just disappear from here. And while we're at it, tell them to send the royal jelly to the capital. Use the Dawn Horse delivery service. Rapiel issued his commands. I don't want the wounded soldiers to find out, so make the preparations quickly. A strong gust of wind swept through the camp. The carriage wheels began to roll along the dirt path. The soldiers, reading the letter Rapiel left behind, were moved to tears. Medic Sama, we haven't even had a chance to thank you. Rapiel, from inside the carriage, looked back and smiled. Live well, he mouthed, and spend your kingdom's rewards wisely. 3 days later, under a scorching sun, the three companions arrived at a camp pitched on arid land. A soldier greeted them. The leader is inside. He's given orders that only the healer is allowed to enter, so you'll have to go in alone. Damien lowered his voice, anxiety etched on his face. Your Highness, that's the leader of the rebellion. After all, are you sure it's all right to go in alone? Rapiel, however, seemed not worried, but intrigued. It's fine. They want me. They wouldn't dare harm me. Besides, I have Garen Wood. Don't worry about him. He entered the tent. A voice called out from within. It's an honor to meet you, Rapiel. Rapiel stopped short, recognizing the voice. You're Jiabi Long. The Patriot's so obsessed with restoring Manhwa he's gone mad, aren't you? The figure inside the tent approached Rapiel, thanking him for coming. Rapelin, he corrected. Welcome, healer they call a saint. I am Rapelon Flambeer, leader of the Yongwan rebellion. He extended a hand towards Rapiel, a dangerous glint in his eye. A palpable pressure filled the air. Rapiel swallowed hard. What an oppressive aura. Their hands met. Rapiel spoke first. The honor is mine. The heart of the revolution, Rapelon replied smoothly. I'm glad you're willing to join my cause. He continued. I intend to treat you with the utmost respect. From now on, the saint healer needn't concern himself with such unpleasant tasks as tending to the blood and gore of soldiers. Rapiel looked up at him. I don't mind. I'm used to it. Rapalon waved a dismissive hand. Regardless, there's something else I need you to do. An unspoken tension hung between them. Rapiel wondered what this task could be. Later, Rapiel and his companions stood outside the rebel camp. Soldiers patrolled the perimeter. Seeing Rapiel looking around furtively, Damien asked, "What's wrong, Your Highness?" Ignored, Damien raised his voice in frustration. "Hey!" Rapiel quickly approached him, placing a finger to his lips, signaling for silence. He then began a series of elaborate gestures, leaving Damien bewildered. He continued to mime, his limbs flailing in a silent performance that drew sighs from his two companions. Since there might be eavesdroppers, he finally explained, "I'm using sign language. What I mean is," Garenwood, catching on, responded in kind with his own hand signals. "So they intend to have you treat their wounded." Understanding dawning, Damien spoke urgently. "I told you, we should just go back to the capital." Rapiel scowled, his face a mask of frustration. "I can't believe this." Two fat tears rolled down his cheeks, his distress evident even through the silent language. Who knew he'd use me for his revolutionary propaganda? The patrolling soldiers, witnessing the three figures gesticulating wildly, exchanged puzzled glances. Remembering the recent handshake and conversation with Rapalon about the next course of action, Lachiel, his eyes gleaming with cunning, declared, "Now, I shall entrust you with a crucial mission. A mission to declare to the entire world." Jiabi Long, gazing at him with anticipation, continued, "A nobleman such as yourself supporting the spirit of my revolution." He spoke on, oblivious to the beads of sweat forming on Rapiel's brow. "Together, we shall forge a new world. 10 days from now, on the plains overlooking Fort Valoa, you need only stand there and make a grand declaration according to my instructions." Jiabi Long, his face alight with excitement, asked, "Magnificent, isn't it?" Rapiel, however, forced a smile, recognizing the trap he was in. "Magnificent, my foot," he thought, his inner turmoil masked by a strained grin. "This is a disaster. I never expected to be used like this. I have to get out of here." Rapiel retracted his hand. There's something I need to tell you." Jiabi Long immediately gave him leave to speak. Feigning distress, Rapiel dabbed at his eyes with a handkerchief. "My beloved said that if I don't see her before the end of the week, she'll break up with me." But Rapiel was met with a cold, hard truth. "You don't have a beloved." The words struck him like a dagger, the painful reality of his single status sinking in. "So much for that." Unexpectedly, Jiabi Long responded, "You want to go see your beloved for a bit?" "Well, something like that, right?" Rapiel, anxious, nodded rapidly. "Yes, that's right." Anticipating Rapiel's next move, Jiabi Long inquired, "If it's an arranged marriage, you probably won't be coming back here, will you?" Startled, Rapiel raised his hand in denial. "Oh no." But Jiabi Long pressed on. "Healer Rapiel, I know your heart. You want to fulfill your duty of caring for the wounded." Turning his back as he walked away, Jiabi Long spoke with a hint of distrust. "But I hope you understand. I can't entrust you with that task at the moment. If your involvement with the rebellion is exposed before you make your declaration, it will be extremely problematic." Rapiel quickly questioned, "Do you really think that if my identity is revealed beforehand, the impact of my declaration will be diminished?" Jiabi Long smiled coldly. "You guessed correctly." Turning his head back, he affirmed, "Your declaration must be powerful enough to shake the very foundations of the revolution." Confused, Rapiel asked, "Then why not have me declare my support right now?" Jiabi Long frankly stated the truth. "Because the time is not yet ripe." Even more perplexed, Rapiel echoed, "The time? What do you mean by the time?" Jiabi Long calmly explained, as if to a live stream audience, "What I mean is, when you truly support me. I hope that your declaration of support, even if just a little, contains sincerity. It has to be sincere." His explanation, delivered with a chillingly calculating expression, sent shivers down Rapiel's spine. Because only then can it sway the hearts of the people. Shuddering, Rapiel asked, "What do you mean?" Jiabi Long stepped closer, his voice taking on a challenging tone. "I'll give you 10 days to deeply experience the rebellion. Then you will sympathize with my ideals and goals. At that time, I'm sure your declaration of support will have a touch of sincerity." He continued, ignoring Rapiel's growing terror and the sweat now pouring down his face. Are you worried about not fulfilling your duty as a healer? That's not what I'm thinking about at all. The constant stream of warnings made Rapiel's eyes widen in trepidation. Seeing your unease, I will allow you to fulfill your duty. From now on, you will be my personal physician, by my side 24/7. Rapiel thought with a sinking heart. Well, this is it. The three huddled together, Rapiel on the verge of tears as he recounted the events. So it's come to this. From now on, I have to share a room with him. Share a room? You two have to live together. What are we going to do? They plotted and schemed, their heads bent together in whispered conference. There's no other way. We have to escape back to the capital. But there's a problem. On the way here, I saw how heavily guarded this place is. Even if we chose the dead of night, slipping away unnoticed seems impossible. Their words were hushed, their plans too dangerous to speak aloud. So they communicated by scribbling notes on scraps of paper. Besides, he'll be glued to my side constantly. There's no way out. Rapiel picked up a quill and wrote, I know that. He sat there, anxiety gnawing at him, images of Rapelon Flambeer and Damien flashing through his mind. One, a potential threat. The other, a potential savior. This place is suffocatingly secure. If Damien weren't the Sword Saint, sneaking out would be utterly impossible. Rapiel's words held a serious weight. Trust me, I'll handle this. Damien's response was a sarcastic flourish. He held up a piece of paper, its message clearly designed to irritate Rapiel. I trust you. Now, look at the mess we're in. Rapiel turned away, quill scratching furiously against the parchment, prompting curious glances from his two companions. What are you planning, Your Highness? He then held up his own note, the words causing their jaws to drop. Even Garenwood couldn't hide his astonishment. We'll just have to play along. With a pale face, a forced smile, and tears welling in his eyes, Rapiel drew the curtain around his bed. It's late. I'm going to sleep. He left them there in the tent, their minds swirling with dark thoughts. This is hopeless. The night sky, a canvas of stars surrounding a full moon, shone down upon a magnificent castle. A soldier, a letter clutched in his hand, hurried inside. Peru quickly bowed. Your Imperial Majesty. The Emperor, seated upon his throne, responded, You're late. Peru, chastened but still anxious, explained, I apologize, Your Majesty. Gathering and compiling the information took longer than anticipated. Lion, granting a reprieve, inquired, and what information required such haste? Peru swiftly replied, Your Majesty, this is the 107th periodic report. Firstly, 5 days ago, His Highness the Crown Prince departed from the kingdom of Angwa's military field hospital, also known as the recovery camp. The Emperor, taken aback, echoed, left the recovery camp? What? Peru, holding the letter, lowered his head and spoke with concern. Initially, upon receiving the report, we were unable to ascertain His Highness's intentions. Therefore, gathering and analyzing further information required additional time. The Emperor, regaining his composure, asked, And your conclusion is that the Crown Prince will soon return to Magado? Peru continued his report. According to the informants planted within the recovery camp, the Crown Prince left a farewell letter for Princess Impoa. The Emperor, hearing Astra's name, expressed surprise. A farewell letter? Explain in detail. Peru unfurled the scroll and read aloud. Your Majesty, he informed Princess Impoa that he had completed his duties there and that it was time to return to Magado. He also requested that a large cask of medicinal wine be forwarded to Magado. The Emperor asked, Is that all? Their conversation drew to a close. The Emperor dismissed him. Very well. You may leave. Yes, Your Majesty. That concludes today's report. You are dismissed. Peru bowed low. My deepest gratitude, Your Majesty. I shall take my leave. After the soldier's departure, Emperor 8-Lion sat in deep contemplation, his hand raised to his chin, a pleased smile playing on his lips. Then he burst into laughter, raising both hands in excitement. Now, my son has returned. Quickly come back and show me you are safe and sound. His booming laughter echoed, startling those behind the door. Ha 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 ha. But little did he know, the prince, Rapiel, lay haggard and wide-eyed with worry. At this rate, I'll never make it back to the capital, he whimpered, his hands clenched like a child's in supplication. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Jiabi Long, who had somehow materialized beside him, suddenly spoke, making Rapiel jump and pull the covers over his head in fright. You're awake. Rapiel sat up abruptly, glaring at him. I'll conduct your morning examination now. He thought to himself, wary, he's watching me 24/7. Rapiel scratched his head and forced a laugh, trying to maintain his charade. No need. I'm the sword saint. You know that, right? Inwardly, however, he gritted his teeth in frustration. Then why are you sleeping with me? I couldn't get a wink of sleep. Jiabi Long declared confidently. That's right. No one understands this body better than I do. Rapiel climbed out of bed hesitantly. Is that so? Jiabi Long looked at him cheerfully. Let's have breakfast first. On the table, a spread of tempting dishes had been laid out. Jiabi Long raised a glass of wine and drank, while Rapiel watched him warily. He then swirled the remaining wine in his glass. I'm finished. Take your time. Rapiel obediently replied, yes. He couldn't bring himself to eat, anxious and afraid under the weight of Jiabi Long's gaze. I can't eat with you staring at me like that. Rapiel quickly placed his hands on the table. I'm finished. Waiting for this moment, Jiabi Long rested his chin on his hand. Now that you're finished, can you answer my question? Rapiel hesitated, confused. Yes. What question? Jiabi Long smiled, then softly spoke. Just a simple question. He began with a question that felt heavy with implication. Rapiel looked at him, a sense of familiarity washing over him. This. I feel like I've seen this somewhere before. Jiabi Long raised his wine glass, looking upwards, and spoke in a cryptic tone. Healer Rapiel must choose between two things. Which will you choose? Rapiel's memory sharpened, tinged with anxiety. This is Jiabi Long's question. The wine in the glass reflected Rapiel's image as Jiabi Long continued, his voice cold. The first choice is for the healer to sacrifice himself. He continued, watching Rapiel's face, gauging his reaction to the difficult choices. But your family will suffer the most shameful and disgraceful end. They will be scorned and cursed for generations to come. Jiabi Long stood, indifferently, setting his glass down. Crimson wine spilled across the table, a dark omen. The second choice is to sacrifice another. The healer will bear no prosecution or responsibility. On the contrary, you will be hailed as a hero for your bold decision, your name remembered for eternity. Jiabi Long picked up the wine glass, his grip tightening, his eyes fixed on Rapiel, awaiting his answer. This is my question. Think carefully before you answer. His face was frightening, his words laced with menace, each option a cruel dilemma. Which will you choose? And that's it for today's episode of The Crown Prince that sells medicine. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. The next episode is already up on the channel, so don't wait. Go watch it right now and keep following the journey of Lloyd's descendant. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next part. Same time, same place.